This is the Seven Figure Standard Podcast, hosted by Arash Vasugi and Mikey Stiller, with mindset and strategies to help you break through and create personal freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Seven Figure Standard Podcast. I'm Mikey Stiller, joined by my co-host, Arash Vasugi, and we are so happy to be with you for today's episode. Arash, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I was just telling you before we came on that about a week ago, I got a comment on social media of someone saying that they could do about 2 sprints and then they were just exhausted and not knowing what to do. And this is definitely not the first time that we've heard this. So it's come up before, and I thought it would be a great topic for us to address on the podcast.
Sure. I'm ready.
All right. So let's talk about building endurance. What would you tell this person?
Well, first of all, that's very normal. You've got to understand how your brain works. Your brain wants to conserve the least amount of energy to do anything. Like when you get up in the morning, you don't walk around the block to get a bottle of water. You go the shortest distance to get water. If you and I have not been running for a while and we start running, we're going to be out of breath, tired a lot quicker than if we had been doing it for months. So it's the same thing with our sprints. And this is where you've got to beat that enemy in your mind. We talked about it on previous podcasts. The enemy is going to say, God, this is so hard. This is so hard. And then it gets you to give in and give up. You have to do it long enough. And if you're going to create a massive jump, you're going to have to use more energy for a little while. To create a massive quantum leap, you have to use more energy because you're doing things that you've never done consistently. I used to think success was about grinding harder than everybody else. I'm just going to outwork everybody. Okay. I still want to outwork everybody, but I do it with touching lightly. I do it with such, it just is. There's no hard work in it. Well, I met a man who made millions like at the snap of the finger, working less than half the hours I did. And what he showed me changed my life. And it's the man or woman that's most persistent wins. And I want you to burn that idea, but it's not persistent in a million things. See, people are going to think persistence, that sounds like grinding. It's not. It's a few ideas that you work on every day. A few sprints, start with 2 sprints, then add the 3rd in once that becomes automatic, then add the 4th in. My whole day is filled with sprints. I'm never tired. I'm never exhausted from them. Why? Because I have a desire and I have juice. This is very important to understand. Until you deliberately form a habit, you unconsciously form a bad habit. Now, sprinting is getting you to do short bursts, almost like you're a quick twitch athlete. You're just going short sprints. And then you take a break and then you do another short sprint, a 30-minute, a 45-minute sprint. But that's what is going to help you. Why are successful people successful? They don't give in. They never give in. They just say, I've got to do whatever the goal demands. I've got to do whatever the service demands. And they are so results oriented. Their results really mean something. That's why they don't give in where failures will give in.
You know, Raj, I'm so glad that you brought up paying the price specifically. I think that there's so much on social media. There's so much out there right now about self-care. Like, if you're tired, rest, take good care of yourself, take an off day, a mental day, whatever it is. And I think that there's definitely a place for self-care. I take good care of myself. I know you take good care of yourself, but there's also a significant place for paying the price and disciplining yourself to do what you said you were going to do or what you need to do to get to your goal.
Well, you're going to have to pay the price. Like freedom is a price. Achieving your goal is a price. You're going to either pay it in regret or in fulfillment. You're going to either pay it in I gave in or I leaned in. And so we're always paying the price. People are always trying to take the shortcut exit out. Like I always tell our elite clients, like I'm obsessed with getting our clients results faster. That's what I'm always thinking about. I'm like, how can I 10x their results faster whenever I'm working with them. And what I'm trying to do is find out where they are, where they want to go, and show them the easiest way to get there. Because you want to remember this. Procrastination, I've said this before, maybe I've never said it here, but procrastination is the assassination of our goals and dreams. But simplicity scales, complexity fails. You got to burn these in your mind. If you are having a hard time, you're getting tired, that means something really good is going to happen if you persist. But here's the reason why people don't persist. They tell themselves a story. This is hard. Is it hard, or am I making it hard? I had a client tell me last week, they go, Rush, this is really hard with something they're working on. I said, is it? Or are you making it hard? Like, we can all think about stories. Driving a car, the first time I drove it was hard. Hitting a golf ball the first time I hit it is hard. It's probably still a little hard. It depends what day. But I will tell you, like, things that are hard in the beginning are going to be effortless in the end. But Mike, what we have to understand, most people don't understand decision. That's why they give in. They never make a decision to achieve their goal. A decision has to be mixed with the habit of following through every day. It's not about following through one day or 3 days. You have to do it every day is day one. But you'll know if you made a decision because your follow through will tell you if you made a decision. And so the person who is using a lot of energy, just know from now on, that is a good sign. That means I'm changing. That means I'm transforming. And that means something really good is going to happen.
I love the way you challenged that client's idea. Is it hard? And I think that we all need to get in the habit of doing that, or find a mentor that will do that for us. I know for me, they're building a highway right near my house. And every time I have that thought of like, oh, this is hard, I think, no, this is not hard. They're working hard, building a highway out in the elements. I'm thinking, which is, so I think if you like can reframe it, it reframes the whole idea. And then you think like, oh, okay, this is not hard. I've got this. I also want to talk about the difference between hard work and grinding and holding an idea in your mind.
Yeah, hard work and grinding is an old, outdated formula. If you watch successful people, like if you guys ever been in a place where you're in your life and you're like, I should be further than I am. I should be further than I am. What if I told you I was in that exact space? And what if I told you the reason I was in that space is because I was grinding harder and harder at the wrong things? Grind means we're working on the wrong idea. If you look at nature, everything is effortless. You plant a seed, it grows. Do you see nature in any form grinding? So we've got to learn from that. So every time I'm grinding, I catch myself, and I want all of you to catch yourself and say, I'm attached to an outcome. That's what grinding is. Now, you could do the same action. That's why two people can be in the same opportunity when one crushes it and one doesn't. And it's all in the relationship to their skill set and their mindset of how they're going after a certain thing. Why was I grinding before? It was an outdated program that was installed in me. The harder you work, the better it's going to be. And I'm big on hard work, but I'm bigger on smart work. You know, in the beginning, you have to work hard until it becomes a part of your identity. You know, but like Napoleon Hill has one of my favorite quotes. He says, in the beginning, and this goes back to the client who asked that question, is you have to will yourself to be great. So keep persisting until it becomes automatic. Then you're going to steer the ship in your direction. I remember my mentor used to always tell me this: if it's really hard, that means there's going to be so much good on the other side. If it's a little hard, there's a little good. That's why I encourage you all to challenge yourself. Like, stop letting the market dictate you. You know, I want you to dictate it. I was working with a client yesterday, and he's in the real estate market. I said, why don't you create another source of income? And he goes, I was thinking about that. I said, I think it'd be a hell of a good idea. I want you to be in control of your income. I don't want the market to be in control. There's like income is the easiest thing to implement once you learn it. And instead of saying, because the market could be one way or the other, it could be. But that doesn't stop us from using our mind. And our imagination is the game. We build ideas in our imagination, and people's imaginations are so dormant. And the game is mastering our mind, not letting the enemy master our mind. So when we do that, that's how we're going to shift. That's how we're going to shift. That lady or man who sent you that message on social media, I could relate with that person. Like every time I do something new, I'm exhausted in the beginning. Like I put a new presentation together a couple weeks ago. I've never done it before. I mean, I was exhausted. I was using so much energy because your focus is so high. But then you go on the other end of it, and that's where you're going to love the results.
So I think so many of us were raised with that idea that to have hard work, right? Success is created through hard work. Not only that, though, I think we've become attached to the idea that it has to be hard. And when you're holding that idea, a lot of times is when you get exhausted or burned out. So how do you reprogram yourself to a belief that it can be easy?
To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's hard or easy. And this is how I've been when I changed. You don't want to follow my advice when I was losing, but follow this advice. I never think hard or easy. I just think it takes what it takes. It's going to take whatever it takes. Like I try to bulletproof myself that everything's going to work out automatically for me. Like that's the idea and image I have. When something's hard, I know something's really good. So this is why our mindset and our habits are so important. You literally, as you develop your mindset and develop your awareness, you have a tool belt around you. And you use these different tools and different processes when times come up. So for example, for me, it's if I think I'm grinding, okay, take a step back. You're in worry, doubt, and fear about something, so you got to let go. So that would be the tool I would use. If I'm exhausted, oh God, something good's happening, keep persisting. Like this is my self-talk. So instead of giving in, I'm leaning in and coming from a much higher level of awareness and higher idea.
I love that. Okay, so for this client specifically, the one that said, I do 2 sprints and then I'm exhausted, what do I do? Do you suggest then that she maybe take a 30-minute break and then lean in and do another sprint to keep conditioning herself for her endurance?
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say I'm going to do 2 sprints a day to start. I'm going to do 2 sprints. Maybe I do one at 9 a.m., one at 1. Okay. And then once that becomes a part of this person, then I want you to add a 3rd sprint. Sprinting is how you create massive results, but you got to take breaks after you sprint. A lot of people will lose themselves in their sprint and it'll be like a 2-hour sprint. Well, that's not a sprint anymore. Okay. And they're doing non-productive activities. And we always have to remember what the purpose is. The strength is not us. The strength is the purpose. The purpose brings out our strength because it means so much to us. So I'm going to say that again because this is very important to understand. All of you have a tremendous amount of strength. It may be dormant with some people, but you all have it. I promise you. But my strength has never been in me. My strength has always been working on a bigger goal, a bigger idea that drove my strength out of me. So that's why it's so important. Everything we do with a purpose. We do for a reason.
Okay, wait, I want to dig in there because what you're saying, I think, is that your fuel is not self-fulfilling. It's your fuel is in your goal.
It's in my goal. The goal is what's driving me. The goal is where when you commit to a goal, that's all you think about. So it brings out reasons for me to keep persisting. If I don't have a goal, there's no reason for me to persist. Mm-hmm. For me, it's always, how do I want to live? How do I want to serve? Service is my number one priority. We have to lose ourselves in service. when you focus on increasing your service, you are going to bring out so much effortlessness in everything you do because you're focused on giving. And you will always be paid in direct proportion to the service you render. I always tell people, salespeople, for example, when they're in a slump, I said, you're focusing on you. You're focusing on you. You've got to focus on service. Our rewards are always made in exact proportion to our service. What we sow, we shall reap. Now, we understand that, but why don't we understand it when we get stuck? See, we got to start thinking.
Because as soon as we come up to adversity or exhaustion or feeling stuck, our focus goes from my vision, where I want to go, to myself.
But anytime you're about self, you're going to come from taking. You're going to come from chasing success. That's where grinding comes from.
So that's a good trigger. So let's say someone is saying like, okay, I'm in a sprint, right? I've got my goal in mind. I'm starting a sprint. They feel that exhaustion, that circumstance, that adversity kick in. Their focus switches. They can use it as a trigger, but what do they do next?
Well, based on how you frame this, they've already started the sprint wrong. So the sprint has to be, before you get in a sprint, you have to be intentional. The outcome of the sprint is already done before you start. You always come from the outcome already being done. You bring the future into the present, even in a 30-minute sprint. Like by the end of this sprint, I am going to be on fire. I am going to implement this idea. So you already do that. Now, if they did that, they would never be tired. It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But they're doing it to check a box. Now we're going to be tired. So there's no energy, there's no juice, there's no fire. Being intentional in everything we do, it takes time to practice because you forget to do it. You know, I remember when I was doing it, I was like, I'm going to test this, and I'm going to just for one day, I'm going to be intentional, and before anything I do. And it was like, oh my God, that was the greatest day I've ever had, you know, at that time. And then I made it a part of me. I have a client, Michael Minoka. I said, I'm going to give you one thing to do. The only thing I want you to do for the next 2 weeks is be intentional every hour. That's the only thing I asked him to do. Crushed it. You know, and I said, it works every time. But we've got to understand why we're doing the sprint, because we're in the present moment in the sprint. When we lose the present moment, we lose our power. But that's why, for me, my greatest sprints are 30 minutes. I know me, that's when I'm most effective. Now, somebody else could be more effective in 45-minute or 60-minute sprints. Whatever works in your body rhythm, you'll know it. And you'll always know how long you could keep your focus and your fire, whatever that is. I have some 15-minute sprints that are like super productive for me. But we've got to practice the sprints, because that's what creates it. I always tell people this. It takes 5 great hours a day to create a world-class life, compounded over a few years. 5 great hours. 5 great hours. Keep doing the 5 great hours. But make those 5 great hours working on your top 20% of activities. In those 5 great hours, we don't do tasky things. In our sprints, we don't do tasky things. We work on our highest income producing activities. Okay, let's say somebody's not going for an income goal. Okay, fine. Or a business goal. Then you work on for health. What are my most important health activities? Relationships. How can I build confidence? If they're working on identity, same thing. You just reframe the words of what you've put your focus on. But you have to practice it. If you don't practice this, you listen to this once, you're not going to pick it up. You're going to forget what I'm saying. You're going to pick up 10, 20% of what I'm saying. It's the repetition of implementing. I'll tell you this. I was telling a client this story yesterday, Mike. I said, do you know why I'm so emotionally involved in the stories I tell? Because I executed them. I followed through with the lesson I learned, and it became a part of my identity. Or else these wouldn't be stories. They would just be ideas that my mentor gave me or through trial and error that I got, right? They're stories now because I followed through on them. So I want everyone to follow through with what I'm telling you. I said something that you do not want to minimize on this podcast today. I said, any decision you make must be mixed with follow through. And if it's not follow through, it is not a decision. I promise you that could be the greatest idea. And that is literally an 8-figure idea if you do this every day.
So good. Araj, is there anything else that you want our listeners to understand about mental endurance?
Well, it's like any endurance. It's a muscle. You've got to do it every day. And if you miss a day, start over at day 1. Do it for 30 days and watch how much your mindset expands. Watch how much your productivity is going to expand. And watch how effortless it's going to happen. Robin Sharma has one of my favorite quotes. He said, in the beginning, it's hard. In the middle, it's messy. In the end, it's amazing. And that is every habit. You start a habit, you start doing the sprint. God, this is hard. It's so much easier just being distracted, right? Then you keep in the middle, you're like, it's like you're fighting yourself. You're fighting that enemy inside of you. And then at the end, it's automatic. You're like, I couldn't imagine my life without sprints.
All right, let's get into an action step for today.
Well, the action step is I want you to commit for yourself. Test it. Don't believe me. Because no matter what I tell you, it's not going to become a fact until you implement it. I want you to commit whatever the number of sprints you're doing, either a 30-minute, 45-minute, 60-minute sprint, 90-minute sprint, whatever it is. Whatever your number is, I want you to commit, I'm doing 2 sprints a day, or I'm doing 3. Like I do 5 a day. Okay, for me, that's my number. But I've been doing this for a long time, so I don't necessarily think you need to start at 5. But I want you to do it. But when you do it, be intentional before you get in the sprint. Do it for 30 days. I promise you're going to do it for the next 30 years.
I love it. Thank you so much, Arash. And thanks to all of you. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave us a rating and review. And of course, share this with your friends and family. We would love to have them listen to the 7-Figure Standard podcast as well. And we'll see you next week for another episode. Thanks, Arash.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7-Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mikey and how Voss Coach & Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachandco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7-Figure Standard.